To identify the snakes in your inner circle, you must move beyond the surface level of social pleasantries and begin a cold, clinical analysis of the psychological patterns and energetic exchanges that occur within your closest relationships. In Jungian psychology, a snake is often an individual who is completely possessed by their shadow, the repressed, darker aspects of their personality, but who wears a highly polished persona of loyalty and friendship. These individuals do not attack from the front. They use the intimacy you have granted them as a surgical tool to find the fractures in your confidence. They're the false friends who do not necessarily want what you have, but desperately want you to lose what you have, so that their own stagnation feels less like a failure. The first and most consistent sign of a snake is the backhanded warning. This is a sophisticated form of micro-sabotage where the individual frames their discouragement as protective concern. When you present a bold new vision or a high-level ambition, they will not tell you that it's a bad idea that would reveal their hand. Instead, they will say, "I'm just worried you're taking on too much," or "I don't want to see you get hurt if this doesn't work out." This is a psychological poisoning of the well. They are planting seeds of doubt in your subconscious under the guise of being your voice of reason. A true ally recognizes your potential and pushes you toward the flame. A snake tries to convince you that the flame is too dangerous, effectively keeping you in the cold with them. The second metric is the micro-expression of irritation during your moments of triumph. Human beings are biologically wired for vicarious joy. True friends feel a surge of positive neurochemistry when someone they love succeeds. A snake, however, experiences a surge of cortisol and envy. To identify them, watch their immediate reaction when you share good news. Look for the mask slip, a brief tightening of the jaw, a forced smile that doesn't reach the eyes, or an immediate pivot to a different topic. They will often follow your success with a leveling statement, such as, "That's great, but remember how hard the next phase is going to be?" They are unable to sit in the light of your victory because it highlights the darkness of their own inactivity. They are crisis friends, people who are incredibly supportive when you are down, because your failure makes them feel superior, but who become distant or passive-aggressive the moment you rise. The third sign is the informant archetype. The snake survives by controlling the flow of social information. They will frequently come to you with bad news from the outside world, telling you, "I heard so was talking about you," or "People are starting to wonder if you've changed." While they present themselves as a loyal whistleblower protecting you from the haters, they are actually the ones facilitating the drama. By bringing you these reports, they keep you in a state of hypervigilance and paranoia, making you feel that they are the only person you can truly trust. This is a classic tactic of isolation and capture. They want to be the gatekeeper of your reality, so they can slowly steer you toward their own agenda. Reclaim your psychic energy by removing the shadow dwellers and surrounding yourself only with those whose internal light matches your own. The identification of snakes within your inner circle is not merely a social task. It is an act of psychological warfare for protection of your destiny. Most people are blind to the predators in their midst because they judge people based on their persona, the social mass of kindness and shared history, rather than their shadow, which is where the true intent resides. To identify a snake, you must stop listening to their words and start observing the leakage of their subconscious. A snake is an individual who is incapable of generating their own light, and therefore, they must consume yours to feel significant. They do not want to destroy you overnight. They want to keep you in a state of perpetual stagnation so that you remain a comfortable peer to their own mediocrity. The primary weapon of the inner circle snake is passive-aggressive sabotage, specifically through the use of concern. Carl Jung noted that sentimentality is a superstructure covering brutality. When a snake sees you leveling up, whether it's a new business, a physical transformation, or a shift in mindset, they will experience a visceral spike in envy. Because their persona forbids them from being openly hostile, they channel this envy into protective warnings. They will pull you aside and say, "I'm worried you're losing yourself," or "I've seen people try this before and lose everything." This is a surgical strike on your conviction. They are projecting their own fear of failure onto you, hoping to infect your psyche with enough doubt to slow your momentum. If their support always feels like a weight dragging behind you, You have found a snake. The second indicator is transactional loyalty. A snake does not value you. They value the utility you provide to their ego. You can identify them by observing how they behave when you are no longer useful or when the power dynamic shifts. Watch their reaction to your victories with clinical detachment. A true ally's face lights up with genuine neurochemical reward because they see your win as a win for collective. A snake's face will glitch. You will see a micro-expression of contempt or irritation, a tightening of the corners of the mouth, or a momentary coldness in the eyes, before they manually override it with a compliment. Furthermore, pay attention to schadenfreude. Does this person seem strangely energized when you share a minor failure? Do they lean in closer when you discuss a struggle? Snakes feed on your vulnerability because it validates their secret hope that you aren't actually superior to them. The third sign is triangulation and information brokering. The snake thrives on being the central hub of your social data. They will often bring you gossip about others under guise of loyalty, saying, "I shouldn't tell you this, but so-and-so said." This is a double-edged sword. First, it makes you paranoid about your other allies, forcing you to rely more heavily on the snake. Second, it serves as a warning. If they are talking to you about others, they are absolutely talking about you to others. They use these information leaks to keep your inner circle fragmented. A fragmented circle is easier for them to manipulate. Jungian psychology suggests that those who cannot integrate their own shadow will project it onto a scapegoat. The snake is looking for a scapegoat to carry the burden of their own unlived life. And if you aren't careful, that scapegoat will be you. To flush them out, you must practice tactical obscurity. Stop giving them the fuel of your life. Stop sharing your wins. Stop sharing your losses and become a gray rock, emotionally neutral and uninteresting. A true friend will ask if you are okay and respect your boundaries. A snake will become desperate. They will try to bait you with drama or manufacture crises to regain access to your emotional state. They need to know where you are so they can know where they stand in comparison. Once you identify the snake, do not confront them. A cornered snake is twice as venomous. Instead, practice the slow fade. Quietly withdraw your psychic energy. Stop the flow of information and move your center of gravity toward people who are also on a path of sovereignty. You cannot build an empire while harboring spies. Reclaiming your circle is the first step toward reclaiming your life.